Hey y'all, so this is going to be an update on some of this year's brutally cold, unforgettable winter that we've had. Really all over the US, but specifically here in Florida, it's been crazy. South Florida is actually was pretty okay. This isn't exactly like the freezes that happened in 2010 that everybody kind of remembers in the agricultural world, but this has still been a pretty devastating winter. It really started like December 31st, like January 1st until now, which it's February, so the whole month of January has been brutal. And for those of y'all like way up north, you know what I'm talking about, but even down here in the tropics, we still, we got hit pretty hard. There wasn't like a necessary, oh, we had a huge freeze of like 10 degrees or something. The coldest we got was one night it hit 29, which is pretty cold. But it's been a constant cool temperature, kind of like I said in the last video, where it's not straight up just 20 degrees or something, or 15 or whatever, but it's been hovering around the 30s, 40s, and just hovering in that cold temperature. And then we did have a few times where it freezed. So this is an update on my palms, just how they did with the cold. I'm going to be showing you what you can do to help your palm trees if you're in a situation like mine where they're shocked and where they're dying-ish. So let's get to it. So for the most part, I've still got most of them wrapped. This is Hydrophorbae lenincalis, Adeninia marielli. Still the same ones. They look awful. They look terrible. This is because it's been a constant cool temperature, and these are all zone 10A, 10B, 11A palms. Very straight, just tropical, not subtropical climate. So I've been keeping the actual heart itself wrapped up the whole time. We had quite a few times where it was raining and it was extremely cold, like we're talking low 30s on the rain, and so that made it even worse because it's a wet rain. But it looks like the crown shaft has still got bits of green, which is good because it's still alive. Praise God. But we're going to go through what you can do when a palm is in this kind of shape, where it's been badly burned and it's just, look, even the merit stem here is looking awful. So when a palm is in this kind of shape, you kind of need to shock it back into life, almost like a defibrillator, like you hit people. We're going to do that. You're going to use this thing called copper ferrugicide. And what copper ferrugicide is going to do is you're going to pour it right down in the base of the petiole into the crown shaft itself, right around the merit stem, and that's going to kill any infestation that might be in there. When palms become cold damaged like this, when they freeze and when they're in a sick state, how they are now, it's super easy for pests, insects, all that kind of stuff, to start burrowing into the heart of the crown. Its defenses are lowered because it's weak, because it's hurting, and so any kind of insects can burrow in there and can start infesting the palm itself. The palm doesn't have an immune system at that point because it's weak from the cold to be able to fight against that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a combination of hydrogen peroxide and copper ferrugicide, and we're going to pour it inside the petioles, and that's going to kill off any kind of bacteria before the bacteria even begins to grow inside the heart of the palm. As well, what you can do on a winter like this where it's been really hard, we're going to go ahead and fertilize halfway through February. We're going to use some probably 11-5-11, maybe 12-4-12, something that's very high in manganese and very high in just some of those other minerals that kind of shock it back into life. I wouldn't say these are dead. They are definitely dormant, and they're definitely not in a state that they were even just a month ago. Everything was bright green a month ago. But this is just to show what can happen in a single month period of having consistent cool temperatures and not back up in the 70s and back up in the high 60s. I mean, it's been hovering around like low 60s, 50s, 40s for quite a while now. And I mean, it's obviously showing on everything. Even my Phoenix Robelinis are getting burned. That's crazy. When a Phoenix starts to get hurting, you know it's bad. Now all my coconuts are actually doing really well. I'll take this off later and I'll show you, but it's all still really green down in here. Everything up here is burned, but I've kept these really wrapped tight. I'm just shocked the fact that you would have even a phoenix get burned. It's been a rough winter, guys. We haven't had this since like 2010, like I said. This is a Majesty palm. Even the Majesty, well, this one was never doing great because it needs a lot of water and it doesn't get a lot of water here. But Majesty itself has kind of gotten burned. It's just been bad. It's been a bad winter. These are solid like 8A kind of palms, so these are fine typically down into even the teens, and it's just been rough. Again, these are some of my worst Adenias. These were all extremely green just last month, and now we'll see how they are. They still got green down by the heart though, so they're holding on. Oh, they're holding on. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and shock these today with some copper ferrugicide. I'm gonna show you how to mix it and how to apply it. That one's looking pretty hurt. Over here we have Caryota mitis, which is the fishtail palm. It should be green down in there, a little bit of green. I've kept this wrapped the entire time, so it should hopefully be okay. All my coconuts have been wrapped the whole time, so the bases from what I've seen last time still seem lively, still seem kind of green. This guy has been taking quite a hit, but I hope it's okay. Another Adeninia, looks like it's still holding on. We still have some green. Now what I've been doing, because I knew it was going to be kind of cold this winter, is I left on petioles that I could have pulled off, but every extra layer of petiole that's on there, every extra crown shaft to the boot that's around here is going to add another layer of protection from the freezes. So I just left them. I wasn't pulling them off this year like I normally would do to prune them. Another Phoenix Rubellini, and I figured the river's right there, so that's the St. John's, which is a massive river. It's 350 miles long, and it's about 2 miles wide where we're at right now, which makes this a microclimate. I figured that because of the river we wouldn't really have any actual freezes, but even with that we still hit around 29 like I said one night, and it's just been constant kind of cool temperatures, which has been kind of killing a lot of this. Now my Sigris romancephalias, those are fine, mostly because they're matured, but also because Sigris will easily go down to lower temperatures and they'll be fine. So here we have another Adeninia Marielli, and then this is Dipsis lucens. So these are both solid zone 10A, 10P palms, but if you notice, they're actually doing much better. Look, there's still quite a bit of green on this one. And the reason why is because it's right here by the house, and the house itself produces heat and traps a lot of that heat. And so even during some of the cool nights and some of the freezes that we've had, you know, I didn't have this Dipsis, this Eureka palm, I didn't have it wrapped at all this winter, but look, it's still pretty bright green down there. And the reason why is because it's so close to the house, all that heat was trapped. And I did wrap this one, but I wasn't really even that worried about it even then. So just another example of, look, if you have some very tropical palms, keep them close to the house and they should be fine. There's another Adeninia Marielli. This one has been growing here for about 5 years and was doing great. And again, this winter, I don't know, so I'm gonna have to make sure I treat all of these. Okay, these coconuts I uncovered recently. They're looking kind of damaged, but I'm still seeing a little bit of coloration down there. I'm hoping, I'm just hoping they look kind of green. Is that right?
How long has Max been out?
A little while. That one's still looking good. So I just got these. I brought these up in late November from Palm Beach. A friend of mine lives in Palm Beach, so I brought up these 3, a few more back there, and then 3 more over there. So I brought up about I think it was 8 or 9 coconuts all around these size, and perfect time of year. All right, so this is Woodietia bruficata, so the foxtail palm. I've had this one wrapped the whole time. It's still kind of green in here, which again, like I said earlier, as long as you wrap up the crown shaft and the actual heart of the palm itself, all these leaves, look, they're not actually alive, so it's okay if the rachis and the leaflets themselves get burned, because this isn't what keeps the palm itself alive. The heart is where it generates new growth, and so if these die but the heart is still alive and kept up well even throughout cold winters, once the summer starts, they're going to have a slow, delayed start, but they'll eventually start producing new spears, and the palm itself will live. You want to save the palm. So I'm looking at a little bit of discoloration here, which isn't great, so I'm definitely going to want to treat this soil and then go ahead and pour in my copper fragicide. It should be more of a brighter color around that base of the trunk there, so I'm kind of concerned. But for the Hyosforbe lenicalis, these are all in shock. These were bright green a month ago, just like everything else, and even the new spear, as it begins to break, is still looking pretty bad. So I don't know, but I kept it pretty wrapped up around the base, and I'm just hoping. Now what you can do with Hyosforbe, because it's a little bit thicker of a crown shaft, is you can begin to pull off these old boots, these old petioles, and you can begin to actually cut into the crown shaft itself and see if there's any degradation, or what's the word I'm looking for, see if there's any fungus starting to grow inside there. I'm not going to do it just because it can be risky. It's kind of surgery on the palm, but you can do it with Hyosforbe. Let's see, here we have another Hyosforbe. This one might be doing a little bit better, actually, possibly. They're both about the same. And then this is my Widgetia rufficata again. This is a triplet though, so there's a 3 separate trunks here. I drove this one up from Palm Beach as well, and we'll see how well they do. Alright y'all, so we're gonna go ahead and mix up our compound. Again, we're using liquid copper fragicide, and this is just really gonna prevent any kind of algae or bug infestation. It's gonna hopefully prevent diseases and destroy what might be in there. This is a concentrated mixture itself, so we're gonna have to dilute this with water. Now this one's 27%. I've seen some up to about 33%. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this liquid copper. We're gonna use roughly 5 teaspoons. So I got my little teaspoon here. I'm gonna use 5 teaspoons in a gallon of water mixture. So 5 teaspoons, 1 gallon, and then we're gonna apply it straight into the crown shaft itself, around the merit stem of each palm that needs it. Really, this is kind of a last resort thing. I have been told, again, by the Palm Fiend, which is a good friend of mine. Christian's a great guy. He knows everything about palms, so definitely go check out his channel. But he's been advising that you should really, what you can do is use, that's not in there, hydrogen peroxide as kind of a preventative, and just spray down the crown shaft of palms, and that'll hopefully prevent things from happening. But once it's kind of already set in, then this is like your last resort. Use this to kill anything that might be infesting the palms. So looks like we're coming out of the freezes. We don't have any more cold days on record at this point, not for the next 15 days outlook anyway. So I'm going to use a mixture of this, and then as well, fish emulsion is a great kind of fertilizer to kind of shock some plants back into life. So I'm also going to be applying this week. I'll mix this up probably around a 2:10 ratio. You want it to be still kind of thick, but definitely a spray, like a mist, and you can just spray it all around the shaft itself, the crown shaft, into those inner parts of the merit stem. So between these two, hopefully we can get all of that back to life. I'm not about to lose any palms this year. It's not happening. Alright, there's 5. We're going to keep it at that. And you can continue to use this, I'd say, once every 2 weeks for the period of time that you know the plant is in shock and is in need. But let's go ahead and put in our water. So it looks like so far. Okay, so we're gonna take our sprayer and we're gonna spray it right down into the merit stem itself, right down in there. Coconuts that are directly by the river, so these are the ones that take a lot of the brute wind damage, and I figured that it wouldn't have much frost damage because it was closer to the water, but for whatever reason it looks like it did more damage. I don't know, I'm seeing some colorization down here, some little green spots, and then this one I'm seeing just still a little bit of green down here, so I'm praying these guys are okay. I mean, I just got these from Palm Beach back in November, so I'm hoping. Oh dear Lord. Either way, I'm gonna go ahead and spray now for coconuts because they're still in the nut. I'm actually not gonna spray as much into the crown shaft as much as I'm gonna spray into the actual coconut down in there because this is the seed itself. I'm still seeing green, that's good. But you know, it's not as much these petioles, because these are older, as much as it is the merit stem. And this shows the heart of the palm. This is gonna show the quality life of the palm. And as you can see, it's not looking great. Now as far as my Phoenix goes, these are, I'm not too worried about Phoenix. It's gonna take a lot of cold to kill a Phoenix. It's just, as long as you live in Florida, Phoenix are gonna be okay. I mean, I might put some down in there, but they'll be fine. They're not really. They're frost damaged on the top. It almost looks like frizzle top. It is from frost, but I'm not so worried about the merit stem. So I'm not gonna put too much on it because I don't want to shock it if it doesn't need to. You know, you wouldn't walk up to a person that's perfectly normal and healthy and give them a defibrillator. Like that's not gonna be very good for them. So these, because these aren't too bad, I'm not really gonna try and do any damage to them by putting chemicals on them that they may not need. All right, now this one I actually am worried about. This Nenia. I really like this one. This one and I kind of go a ways back. I'm gonna tell you a quick story about it. This is actually when I first moved back from Palm Beach. I didn't bring any with me, but I knew I started really having this kind of, I don't know, just this joy. I guess just, it was a fun little hobby, just collecting palms. I saw so many beautiful South Florida tropical palms down in South Florida and Palm Beach. And so when I got back up to St. Augustine, I was like, you know, why don't I do that here? So this was the very first, I guess you could say tropical palm, South Florida palm that I actually got and started landscaping here. And so I'm hoping that it lives because it's like my first guy. All right, now these coconuts, look at this one. This one's still green. That one is good. I like that. Makes me happy. Very happy. Now because this one doesn't really have a split in the nut, I'm actually gonna kind of water around a little bit, but I'm really gonna try and get the inside of this merit stem. This one's got a split in the nut, so I'm gonna go right in there. So I noticed when I pulled away this little bit of sheet right here, look, it's all green. And that's what you do. That's what you want to do. If you wrap up the crown, again, as long as it's growing and the new spear still comes out healthy, that's a good sign. That means that the plant is alive and well. So I'm going to tuck that back up in there, all nice and warm for the next couple weeks. See now, because I don't want to really unwrap these again. I just did it earlier this week and then wrapped them back. And I'll put up a picture, but they're still green inside, thankfully. I was so happy when I took it off. What I'm doing is just shoving this down and then spraying all around, and then I'm gonna actually lift the skirt here, and oh look, green, green. And anyway, I'm just gonna spray it. Now this really did shock me because this Majesty was doing great. It had plenty of water back here. It's definitely a luscious area. You can see all the grass around it. It's really thick. So it wasn't water deprived like the one over in the front over there. But this is sheer cold damage, and I honestly am shocked. Wow. Wow. Okay, y'all. That pretty much wraps it up for all of the palms and the cold tolerance. We've got a few more weeks until it really